High school football is back. So glad it is back. Games kick off on Thursday. One of the matchups we are looking at, Clarke County traveling up to Rockridge. Now joining me, the head coach of the Clarke County Eagles, Casey Childs. And coach, before we get into this matchup, I know it's been a little while since the last time we chatted on your first opening days of camp. How do you think from those first opening days, you've since had two scrimmages against Dominion and James Wood. How much progress do you think your team has made up until this point, getting ready for Thursday night at Rock Ridge?
Well, I think it's been a tremendous amount of growth from all the kids as young as we are in certain positions. And I mean young and just meaning by inexperience. So from the beginning of camp until both scrimmages and to now, we've made a lot of progress with figuring out who's going to be where and who's going to be doing what roles for us. And the two scrimmages, I thought we did a very good job at both. There was obviously some mistakes made in both that we could clean up. Wasn't anything really a whole lot of physical, a couple of mental things here and there that hopefully you can clean up from one scrimmage to the next, and then from your second scrimmage to your first game. And obviously Dominion and James Wood are both, bigger schools like Class 4 and so forth, and we're in Class 2. So we equipped ourselves very nicely in both scrimmages. So from that point and from that perspective, we're excited where we're at.
So, in terms of the two scrimmages you had against Dominion and James Wood, if you can just further touch on how you sort of evaluated winning and evaluated your team in those two scrimmages, and what were some of the positive takeaways that you want to further blossom with your team, if you will, going into Thursday's matchup?
I think first and foremost is how hard they play. I think that's the first. That's never a question with any of our kids. And both scrimmages, our effort was tremendous. Secondly, the mental part of it, making sure are you lined up accordingly, or are you doing what you're supposed to do when it comes to, are you blocking the right people, or you have missed assignments, and those are things that they're correctable mistakes. And if it was a physical thing, you got some issues. But since a lot of those things we were doing was on the mental side, they are definitely correctable. So that's what we're looking for whenever you come out of a scrimmage, and you have to be able to limit those things. Now, I do know that Friday night against James Wood, we had way too many penalties, but so did James Wood. I think it was just it was a penalty fest there in the first probably half hour of that scrimmage, and then from that point it kind of cleaned up. So those are things that are correctable mistakes, and we have got to get that cleaned up before we get going on Thursday.
So Thursday night, traveling up to Rock Ridge, obviously a bigger school in Loudoun County. Looking at this Clarke County Eagles squad as before, you have some new pieces, but yet you have that core nucleus, if you will, of returners that are going to help you both on the field and off the field in a leadership role. And I know we touched on that earlier in the month, but just take me through what you're looking to see out of your team in this matchup against Rockridge, obviously a bigger school, and looking at the players on your team. Just take me through what you're looking to see come game one.
Well, one, we have to control the line of scrimmage. That's first and foremost on both sides of the ball. We have to do what we do with our single wing. We've got to win the line of scrimmage, and we have to play well in space on defense because they're going to spread us out. We know that, and luckily we've seen that in both scrimmages with both teams at Dominion and James Wood are spread personnel. So Rockridge will be a lot of that. So we have to do really, really well in space, and then ultimately win the battle up front to make them one dimensional on defense. And then, like as I said, we have to get the ball in our skilled kids' hands. We've got really good skilled kids, and when they get the ball in their hands, they're pretty dynamic with it. So. It's just a different style of play, but and it doesn't make a difference what style of offense you play or defense you play. The game of football will and always will be won up front, and that's what we have to do on Thursday.
So, how does it feel in your mind having a returner in Sipe coming back, leading the offense? Obviously, you have some newcomers, but how does that feel, you and the coaching staff, to have Sipe as a leader that can sort of help out in that situation as well, having somebody who's knowledgeable of your system?
Well, he's just an invaluable piece. You can't say enough about him. He's just a class act on and off the field, and comes from an unbelievable family. And just he's another coach on the field. He knows exactly what we're thinking a lot of times, and that's on both sides of the ball as well. And then you have him, and then you throw in guys like Wilson and Wilson Taylor, Wyatt Palmer, Carson Chin, and those guys have been on the field for so long for us that when you have that kind of nucleus, you do expect some good things to happen for sure.
It is Clarke traveling up to Rockridge on Thursday night. Once again, the head coach of the Clarke County Eagles, Casey Childs, joining me. Coach, as always, really appreciate your time. Looking forward to working with you all season long again.
Yeah, thanks for the coverage. Appreciate it.